All right, guys, welcome to another week, another episode of Total Male Introspective, the TMi podcast. We're coming at you live from all over the place. My name's Joe.
I'm so happy to be back on the show. I'm JC.
What's up? Jonesy here.
And we are going to take it up a little bit to a more positive realm. We had a little bit of a downer last week, but it's a necessary evil. We discussed mental health. This week, we're going to discuss sports in 2020 for the most part, because it's pretty wild out there in the world of professional college and all different sports, high school. We're going to cover the gamut of all the different sports and how they've been affected by COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we get to that, I want you guys to make sure you check us out on all of our social media. And it makes it real easy for you because there's a link right there at the bottom from Linktree. It's Linktree, which is linktr.ee/the TMi podcast. That'll connect you to everything for the most part. It'll get you even over to our Spotify and iTunes locations, because we are on all of the audio podcasts, as well as doing our live show Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Twitter, Periscope and all of them. And I think we're going to add Twitch soon. You guys, we're coming at you from all different angles, and we're not going to stop. So we're going to discuss something a little more upbeat this week. And definitely make sure you follow us in all those locations so that you guys can get on Instagram. You can get JC's Total Meme Introspective, because he's been really firing out the fun memes on Instagram. And Facebook, we do some updates over there as well. And we got to get our Twitter going. Twitter's like a different language compared to Instagram and Facebook, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It definitely is.
we need like a Rosetta Stone for Twitter, so we know how to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not the same as it used to be. But so here we go. John Cino saying, "What's up, fellas? Glad I'm able to catch you guys live for once. Loving the audio podcast, though. Appreciate that. If you can help us out, share them when you get a chance on Twitter. Apparently, is where we need you to share them."
It's so great to hear from Cino. And speaking of Cino, thank you so much for the message you sent the other day about last week's topic. Sorry, I haven't been able to get back to you yet. Work's been killing me a little bit lately. But those are all good things. But I'm happy that we were able to talk about something that was, affecting you. And I'm looking forward to catching up with you in, a few days, sir.
Nice. And Cino, that brings me to an important point that I didn't make yet. Patreon. He is a patron of us on Patreon. Patreon. Yes, he's a member, and he hooked us up with the top level. So Patreon, patreon.com/the TMi podcast. That's where you guys can go if you want to support the show, where you can throw us $5, $10, $20 a month just to help us get better equipment, help pay for this software, all the stuff, boost our posts so more eyes and ears can get our message in their face. So why don't we start?
Want to see faces?
Yeah. Last thing, just wanted to remind everyone also that a lot of people are watching on our watch parties, which is awesome. We have a great feature. Thanks, Cino, for demonstrating a bit. We have a great feature where if you put a comment, we can bring it up on the screen. We can see the comments and stuff like that. But make sure that you are commenting on the live comments on our video rather than in the watch party comments. There's two different sections of comments there. Make sure you're in the live video comments, just so that we can get the comment and kind of help us out and guide our conversation.
Yeah, definitely. You got to click that live video section if you're in the watch parties. It's very important.
Oh, snap. I got to put up my watch party right now.
Yeah, that's the tough part is my phone's bugging out, so I'm trying to get it going, and it's not clicking through the way I want it to. Come on. What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll get to it. So Good news.
Jonesy, are you rapping over there?
Are you rapping?
So let's get some good news going. I know you guys had some good news you wanted to discuss before we jump deep into.
Yeah, definitely. So there was some good news that I saw the other day, and it's been around for a while. It went viral a couple weeks ago or whatever. But there was this guy who was in the backyard with his kid, and he was teaching his kid how to hit and how to play baseball, and and his 4-year-old son was able to hit a home run. I mean, this thing was a bomb straight over the fence in the backyard, and you just see the father go absolutely nuts. He goes absolutely crazy at the pitcher's mound with his 4-year-old son hitting his first home run. His son runs around like the little bases that they had set up. And it was just awesome to see. So I'd like to share that with everyone. Joe, you got the video ready?
I got it ready to go here. Can you guys see what's going on here? Can you see the screen here?
See the screen? Yep.
I'll full screen that. Oh, come on. There we go. All right. We'll get there. You guys got me on that end? All right. We're good. We're good.
Wait, scroll up a bit.
I'm just going to press play and then I scroll up a little bit.
Yeah. Bang! Hits that. That thing is not short. Look at the bat flip.
That's what she said.
Oh, God.
Oh, my gosh. It's so awesome to see this.
All right. Damn, this kid is like... Wait, how did he come from that angle, though? Like, did he not run around the bases completely?
No, he totally passed. He totally passed home plate and came back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, this put such a smile on my face because I remember playing baseball with my dad and doing stuff like that, and he's gonna remember that for his entire life, and just kind of gives you all the good feels. So in honor of sports returning last week, we got the MLB, we got the NBA, we got everyone coming back. Sure.
Well, someone's phone is talking to us.
Yeah, so in honor of sports returning today and our topic, I just thought I'd throw out that good news there.
Yeah, no, that's good. And the rest of our sports news is a little bit more controversial or divisive. So, JC, did you have any good news you wanted to throw in the mix there?
I mean, I'm just happy that football is back and baseball is back and basketball is back. And I don't have COVID, which is great because there's a small stretch of time that I thought I may have gotten it, but turns out I didn't.
Oh, no. All right.
Yeah,
well, that's good. That's good.
Joe and I actually went to the beach last weekend, and on Sunday night we actually got really bad sunburn. I got really bad sunburn on my back, and I was feeling a little dehydrated. I was like, please don't be COVID. Please don't be COVID. Please don't be COVID. But I don't have COVID because once I put the aloe on my back and got a nice good sleep and drank some Gatorade, I was good to go.
Yeah, I got some sunburn too. But the thing is, we kept applying. I got there. It was the first thing I did when I met him at the pool. I put on sunblock. It's like SPF 30, SPF 50 something. And then like an hour later, I did the same thing over and over again. We still got burnt. But I guess we were at the pool and then we were at the beach. So I guess we didn't really come out of the sun for like 8 hours straight or so.
It was by far the most sun I've gotten in this summer because clearly we've been on lockdown and quarantine and stuff like that. So it's been but even shout out to Asbury Park, because I'm telling you, in New Jersey, shout out to them because they're doing it right. 99% of people had their masks on, even on the boardwalk.
Yep.
Proper social distancing on the beach. The restaurants, none of them had indoor seating. They were all outdoor seating with proper social distancing. I mean, shout out to Asbury Park. They're really doing it right. And if you get a chance, we actually got sold out of going on the beach at one point because we didn't get the passes in time, and so they're limiting the amount of people on the beach and stuff like that. It's been, I felt very secure, safe going there. So shout out to Asbury Park because they did a really nice job last weekend. The whole town really kind of making sure everyone is safe from this pandemic that we're going through.
Also, Asbury Park was this was the first time I've been to Asbury Park, and it was really the nicest Jersey Shore area that I've seen. JC, you're better now. He was a little blurry. We fixed him. Asbury Park. It was the first time I've been to Asbury Park. I've been to Seaside Heights. I've been to Wildwood, obviously Atlantic City, and Asbury Park was like a chill, less touristy, less tacky, I guess is the way to put it, because it didn't have all those souvenir shops that are just shoving everything down your throat. Spend money, spend money, spend money. It was all restaurants instead of souvenir shops.
It was fantastic. They had really nice restaurants, definitely the 30+ crowd. Not like Fist Pump Nation, like Seaside Heights.
What's wrong with Fist Pump Nation?
We outgrow that, JC. We outgrew that.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, I was all about the Fist Pump Nation, but I think
it's like Bam Bam Bigelow.
What was that?
Bam Bam Bigelow, Asbury Park.
Oh, really? Is he from there?
I don't know. Sino, hit me with that yes or no, because I'm sure you're listening still.
If anybody would know, it's definitely Sino.
It was a really nice place. The restaurants were moderately priced. For the quality that they had and the amount of restaurants, I thought that I guess since there's so many restaurants, they have to keep the prices competitive. But the food was fantastic everywhere we ate. The pool was nice at the hotel. The Berkeley Hotel was really nice, right on the beach.
Yep.
There really wasn't much more to ask for a quick one-day getaway. It was safe. We felt safe. Everybody seemed to be, besides the beach getting sold out, but I worked my way onto the beach for us. If you ask Jonesy, Jonesy was like, how are we going to get on the beach? I'm like, we're just going to go at 3:30 when everybody's coming off, and we're just going to snipe those passes. We're just going to beg people.
Oh, man. It's so funny. Well, first, Sino just confirmed that I was correct about Bam Bam Bigelow. So thank you from Asbury Park, which is also his finishing move, which is called Greetings from Asbury Park. When it comes to sneaking into places, one of my favorite stories is one time we went to a 50 Cent Eminem concert. And so my buddies and we snuck into the front row of the concert. And so it's a lot cooler than sneaking onto a beach because we were literally in the front row of the 50 Cent concert. And the way we got through is we told the usher that our friends were on the other side of the row. And so instead of us walking all the way around, we're like, oh, hey, can we just cut through this way? And he let us do it. and we ended up just chilling in the front row, watching the Eminem concert because, once the concert starts, everyone's just kind of standing up the entire time. And so no one was like, hey, you're in our seats because we're just like chilling. So
that's awesome.
I'm sorry to one up your beach story, but I just felt that I don't get to tell the story as often, so I wanted to tell it today.
Well, I think I was there for that one, and I was just I think that was way before I got sober, and I was really, really wasted and did not have that opportunity.
Nah, it was me, Drew, and Kyle, and we all swore that Olivia. Do you guys remember her? Like the lady of G Unit.
Oh, no. Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, all right. Well, she like made direct eye contact in our direction. So for a good portion of the night, we were like, oh yeah, she was looking at me. Or then Kyle was like, oh, she was looking at me. And Drew was like, she was looking at him. I was like, oh yeah, she was probably looking at you, Drew. But anyway, I like to think that, she was looking at me.
I don't know if Drew's listening, but he's a pretty man.
Honestly, it was probably Drew.
Yeah, I mean,
it is the Drew I know. It is the Drew I met before, right? A couple of times.
Yeah.
Okay, because if it wasn't, it would be very awkward what I just said.
No. We were out in the same Drew that we were in Montreal having a good time, and when we left the club, all the ladies would say, Hi, Drew.
Hi, Drew.
Oh man, but yeah, that's enough about our personal lives and having fun. Let's get into the nitty gritty. What the show is all about today.
Can we start with Jamal Adams? Because I've been dying.
I figured you'd want to talk about that. So hit
I'm
me up with some
dying here.
Jamal Adams news.
All right, so if you guys are living under a rock and you're sports fans, we'll get to the more divisive stuff later. This is just something that's been bugging me. I'm a Jets fan. That also has been bugging me for about 20-something years now. But Jamal Adams was the best player on our team. He was a strong safety. He was all over the field. And at some point in the past few months, he wanted a contract extension. He wanted to get paid more because he's still on his rookie contract. And what did he do? He took to social media to express his discontent. And then when they didn't follow up with him the way he wanted, there's a whole bunch of he said, she said to this story that the Jets didn't handle it well, which they probably didn't because it's the Jets. And that he did. I mean, we can only really see his actions because he made it very public. And I just want your guys' thoughts on, did he handle it as a professional, as the image he was putting out there, as this leader of the team, as this core? He wanted to be the central focus on the team. That was his big thing. And he wanted to be a leader, and he was a very good leader. And so do you guys think he handled this well and demanding a trade and getting traded eventually for causing a stir?
I mean, I think what happened was, he's this amazing superstar talent, and he understands that. In the sport of football, it's really violent. So if you look at someone like Earl Thomas, who tore his leg up and may have never played football again, he wasn't paid. So when you're in your prime, you should be able to, go get your money, because if you think of it, the GM, they can trade you whenever you want, whenever they want, without any reason. So, for him to be like, I've given you 3 to 4 years already of greatness. It's time for you to, okay, it's 3 times. It's time for you to pay me, right? Because if I told you, did you know Dak Prescott hasn't made more than $2 million yet?
Yeah.
Right. So the fact that he's asking for all this money is just no, you're paying me for what I've, performed and proven up until this point. And I think Jamal Adams is in the same bucket. And so I think the way that he went about doing it is just all right, if you're not going to listen to me after you told me that you wanted to make me a Jet for life, I'm going to do what's best for me and my family.
I see where you're coming from, and I get it, but it does still bother me as to how he went about it with the public and tweeting that he was gone before the team even traded him. I just feel like he went a little too far with the public side of it. So I get being upset, and I get trying to get paid. I don't have a problem with him trying to get paid. That's not where I have a problem. I have a problem with, he was commenting on other players, tell Dallas to come get me, that sort of stuff to me doesn't fly as far as I'm all about the team. And then, yeah, I get that it is an individual payday for some of these guys, but to go on social media and comment, tell Dallas to come get me, tell Seattle to come get me. I just feel like that's not how you handle yourself when in the public eye like that. So,
I mean, as long as the Eagles didn't get him, I'm happy.
Yeah. Or the Cowboys.
Yeah.
No, I think JC would have been just fine with that.
Yeah. Oh my God. This reminds me of the Nnamdi Asomugha situation. I remember that day vividly when Nnamdi Asomugha left the Raiders and went to the Eagles, and I was just like, oh my, this is it. We're done. But he ended up being trash. But so
yeah,
worked out for us.
We kind of picked apart those flaws real quick.
I think if Jamal Adams with the Dallas Cowboys, for those of you who don't know, JC's a big Dallas fan. I think this conversation would be a little more heated. But I'm over. He went to Seattle, but the Jets did get 2 first rounds. They switched a 4th round to a 3rd round, and they got Seattle starting safety. So,
who had more interceptions than Jamal Adams?
Yeah, but Jamal Adams.
Yeah, but Jamal Adams is more of a box safety. Yeah, he's more of a box safety anyway. It's a guy that's going to blitz, guy that's going to, stop the run.
He was a partial edge rusher, essentially. He was a part-time edge rusher for the Jets, which we're going to miss that a lot.
Yeah, he was more of a Palomalu safety than he is like a guy in the secondary who's gonna stay back and just catch interceptions.
Yeah, that's some good hair right there to live up to if you're gonna compare him to Troy.
Yeah. He's gonna have to grow. Yeah. So Marco just chimed in and said, "Isn't that the dude who came in 61st in the World Series of Poker in the top right?" And yes, Matt Jones, Jonesy. That's one of the reasons why we're in Asbury Park is because we were playing online poker. I played in a couple $20, $30 satellite, nothing tournaments. And actually, at one point, I got so bored with it, I got so hungry. I was like, "Here, Matt," and I handed him my tablet, and he was playing the big show, and he was playing my little baby tournament too. So that's why we went.
Did he win you any money?
No, he got me close though. I mean, I was hanging in there for like an hour, and then I handed it off to him, and like he said, he got me closer. I mean, I'm sure I would have probably done worse. So.
Yeah, I'm a big poker player, big poker guy. I love the game, love playing the game. And Marco is one of the guys. He's actually my pseudo poker coach that I go to talk to hands about and talk to about hands and tournament strategy and cash game strategy, stuff like that. So
where'd you meet Marco?
Thank you.
Where did you meet Marco?
Thank you, Joseph.
Sometimes two people are gonna just hit it off, and I connected those guys, and they were like, "Oh yeah,
he's a poker matchmaker." If you hadn't noticed.
Oh, nice. So I guess Joseph, what are your thoughts on Jamal Adams?
So Jamal Adams is a tricky one for me. I mean, at the beginning, he said all the right things. He did all the right things. He tweeted, "I'm here for life. I want to do what's best for the team." He said all that stuff, and they made him the face of the franchise. They essentially made him the most important player on the team.
He had a little hand in that action.
Yeah, he did, and I'm sure the fan base had a lot of hand in that action as well, because they really loved him and they really wanted him to succeed, because they thought the success of the Jets ran through him. I think a lot of that is great, and I do agree with a lot of the success would run through him. But I don't know how often you build. I think you build a football team around an entire defense, and you need multiple parts within that defense. I think the one guy you need to really put a lot of stock in is your quarterback, and I think Sam Darnold is really good, and is going to be really good, especially with Adam Gase there, who is an offensive guy.
We'll see. Still to be determined. We'll see
what happens. Obviously to be determined. Yeah, it really helps that Tom Brady is no longer in the Jets division. That really helps a lot too. But I think
Josh Allen coming though.
I know the Bills are really freaking good, man. The Bills are awesome. But when it comes to Jamal Adams, I think I agree and lean more towards JC, where he really has to get his money as soon as possible. He really does, because there's no guarantee that he's going to get paid later, and he has to do what's best for him. I agree with that. And the Jets got a lot for him, a lot. Like they got two first rounders and a third rounder and a guy in Joe Douglas who just murdered the draft for the Jets, who just killed the draft for the Jets next year. So now you can, with Joe Douglas making those picks, you can kind of say that he's going to make the best decision for the Jets. You may be able to hang your hat on that, or it may be just a fluke that 1 year. But I mean, he did it in Philadelphia too when he was there. So I mean, it's something that those picks may end up being better than Jamal Adams was for the team in the long run. I mean, we're not going to know if this trade actually pans out or does or is good for both sides or one side, we won't know that for another 3-4 years when those picks are made and see what they get for them.
But I got to pose this question to you guys. He went to Seattle and signed no extension. He agreed to get the same pay that he was going to get with the Jets. So
yeah, but you know, it's a new team. I feel like, you know, and I feel like a lot of that goes with him having to learn the new terminology and the new defense and stuff like that, and kind of show his worth. And he's kind of a rookie again when it comes to that, because there's a lot of alpha males already on that Seahawks team. Like, that's not his team. That's Russell Williams' team. I mean, not Williams, Russell Wilson's team. That's Russell Wilson's team. He is the alpha male there. So he's going to have to fall in line.
Mm-hmm. And you forget that Bobby Wagner is the alpha defensive male.
Right. So, like, he's going to have to fall in line. Like, he may eventually become a leader on that team, and it's probably going to be a semi-leader on that team, but he's not going to take it away from either of those two guys, and I think he knows that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to something a little more on topic with sports in 2020. Jamal Adams was something that just happened this weekend, and obviously as a Jet fan, I was like really butthurt about it. So, excuse me. We are going to move on to discussing a football legend and what he said. And I mean, sports after the Black Lives Matter wave that we've seen and everything that's been changing socially. And some people say for the better, some people say for the worse. Whoever, your opinion, I don't know. It's up to you. Be a good person, be a crappy person, whatever. But Mike Ditka had something to say about the anthem and people kneeling for the anthem. And that's really what has, I guess we could tie this all back to that, starting a lot of some of the Black Lives Matter stuff. Right. Kaepernick kneeling. So Ditka had, I don't know his exact wording, but he said if you don't, go ahead, Jonesy.
I have it. Yeah, I have it right here. He was talking about, and what's weird about it is that he wasn't even talking about anything that has to do with Black Lives Matter or anything like that. It was taken totally as like a last second thing. And I feel like it was a gotcha moment, but who knows? The Hall of Famer stated to be the chairman of the X League. And if anybody knows what the X League is, it's going to be eventually the Women's Tackle Football League. So they're creating something for women to be able to play tackle football. And it's going to be very legit. And he's slated to be the chairman. So it was this really long interview about him chairing this X League, which is going to be the Women's Tackle Football League. And then at the end of it, they say, what do you think about the people kneeling in the NFL? And would you allow that in your X League? Because that's what's happening there. And right after the question, he says, his exact quote was, if you can't respect our national anthem, get the hell out of the country. That's the way I feel. Of course, I'm old fashioned, so I'm only going to say what I feel. End quote.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I guess people are taking it as, if you can't respect our national anthem, get the hell out of the country. And kind of only taking it. And he didn't say it in angry tone. He didn't say it with enthusiasm. He was just kind of matter of fact about it. He was just kind of like, yeah, if you don't respect the national anthem, get the hell out of the country kind of thing. So, you know, that's the quote there.
But my whole thing is, like, I love our military. I love our country. Didn't we fight for the right to protest? Like, isn't this the whole point of being free?
Yeah, I get where I get where people are coming from with that. I personally think that, and I always have thought that standing for the anthem is kind of a sign of respect for everything that's come before us. So,
but do you stand like when you're at the bar though? When the national anthem comes on?
Not anymore. You got to sit your ass in a seat. Governor Cuomo told you so. But I feel like in the stadium, it's the flag and the anthem are happening there in the stadium. it's a gray area. It can go. I've seen it from both sides. I used to be gung-ho, stand for the anthem. I get seeing the riots and the more violent side of things, that the peaceful protest was definitely a better approach. And there are peaceful protests going on, but you guys know what I mean when things turn violent and get out of hand and there's buildings on fire and stuff. So,
hockey games.
Yeah. In retrospect, maybe it wasn't such a big deal. So maybe I was not right. I will admit that, and maybe I wasn't looking at it from the right perspective. But I still think I will always stand when I'm at an arena or at a game, and so that's my choice. So I guess everyone can have their own choice, and then we can take this over to Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball had a lot of guys kneeling, and there was a handful of guys that didn't kneel. Now, they were supposed to be showing a sign of solidarity, but now the pendulum has almost swung the other way, where now the guy that's standing was getting crap for it. You know what I mean? So they were like, why aren't you kneeling with the rest of us? So that's a tricky situation right there, because he was just doing what he wanted to do. Isn't that the point? You should be able to do what you want to do for the anthem.
His teammates came out and were just like, okay, hey, yeah, we support, like, you have your right to do it. And so I don't think they were like bashing him.
I was talking about the public, not the teammates. But,
oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Yankees and the Nationals, I mean, the Yankees are an institution. Shout out to my background here. The Yankees are an institution. They generally do things the right way when given the opportunity to. And I think that them showing the Yankees and the Nationals how they knelt and had a little bit of a time for protest, and then they all stood for the national anthem. I think that's a pretty good way of handling it.
Yeah, because Jerry Jones did that first, though, just so you remember.
Man.
Oh, did he? I did know that.
They did do that. They locked arms and knelt last season, right?
With Jerry Jones on the front lines too. So let me get one of those Steinburners down there to do it before you start talking about an institution. Now this is an institution.
Oh, please, yeah.
How many championships you got? Okay, never mind. How many championships?
Wait, first of all, we can't listen to Joe.
I'm a Yankee fan. I gotta win sometimes. I'm a Yankee fan and a Jet fan. I gotta win sometimes.
Look,
I feel sorry for the Jets and the Mets fans. Jesus.
That's a whole nother debate right there. But because I never understood why Jets and Mets are like fans together, and then like the Yankees and Giants have to be like teams together. Like you could be whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah,
I get crap for it all the time, man. People are like, why aren't you a Mets fan? I'm like, because I like to watch good baseball.
But I don't like to watch good football. Oh!
Yeah, well, no, because I was a Jet fan first, so I had to make up for it somewhere. So where were we? We got sidetracked on our bias, on our team bias.
I think the Yankees and Nationals game, when they did it opening day, and they all knelt and they all stood. I think that was a pretty good way of handling it. As the games went on, other people were doing it different ways. Some people were kneeling, some people were not. During the anthem, before the anthem, after the anthem, there's different ways to do it. I just think that, there's an opportunity when you have a big stage, when you have a lot of eyes on you, there's an opportunity to make change if you do it the right way. And not to say that kneeling during the national anthem is the wrong way, because I do support ways of peaceful protest. Remember, the kneeling for the national anthem was in response to police brutality. It has nothing to do with the actual military. It really does not.
I think another point that you need to also make, though, is the fact that he started kneeling because a military vet asked them to kneel instead of sitting down, like everyone else who's complaining about the kneeling is doing while they're watching the games.
Or to play devil's advocate, he kneeled because he got benched. But whatever, that's a different argument.
No, he did not kneel because he got benched. Well, it's possible. It's possible. But he, for better or for worse, it was Colin Kaepernick who ended up becoming the face of this. I mean, there's plenty of people who knelt after him that were fantastic players and major contributors to their team. It just, for better or for worse, we don't people who do protest do not get to choose who their leaders, who people are going to pick on. You can go back to George Floyd. People say that George Floyd had a past. We didn't pick. I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement did not pick George Floyd to be their leader. It was the people who killed George Floyd. So, I mean, it is what it is at that point. But kneeling for the national anthem is something that if you have a big platform and you want to make some change for people that are being marginalized, then I think you should have the ability to do so and do so peacefully. Because if people were able to protest peacefully and make some change peacefully in the correct way, then maybe we wouldn't be having all of these riots, and maybe we wouldn't be having all of these different violent protests, which most of them, 90% of them, 85% of the protests are going on right now are peaceful. The media loves to point out when it's not peaceful, though, and that's the bias that we're going to be hopefully talking about next week, media bias. But it's something that we definitely need to take a look at in retrospect. As the fact that before George Floyd, before the Black Lives Matter got completely exploded, I mean, it was there, but it didn't completely explode like the last few months. There were peaceful protests going on, and nobody was listening. Nothing was happening. There was not much legislation going on. So, I mean, it's a catch-22. What kind of peaceful protest is going to make a stand where change is going to happen? That's my question.
Something worked, because for time constraints, we're going to move on to what changed due to some of these protests. What changed? The team with no name. The team formerly known as the Washington Redskins. And Jonesy and I went back and forth on this. For those of you who don't know, they are no longer the Washington Redskins because there was a racial connotation to the name. I mean, you'd live under a rock if you didn't know that people were upset about that. So they decided they were going to remove the Redskins title from the team, which was announced, 3 weeks ago? And they've decided that they are going to just be called Washington Football Team for this season until they decide where to go with it. So
it's such a genius move, though. Such a genius move.
Financially intelligent, yes.
Yeah, because think about it. Everyone's going to go buy these new Washington team jerseys, this Washington team paraphernalia, right? And then guess what? The following year, they're going to have a new name and a new jersey, and you're going to go buy those jerseys and all that team paraphernalia. So kudos to Dan Snyder for doing something business savvy.
Well, I think that actually he had someone. I said this to Jonesy because Jonesy was like, "Oh, he's just giving everybody a big middle finger," and I said, "No, I think one of his business people turned to him, one of his business consultants turned to him and said, dude, you'll make $1 billion each year just off of apparel. And people are going to buy all the hats and all the jerseys this year, and then they're going to do it again next year." And he was probably like, sold.
It's like LeBron James in his 1-year contracts. Every single year, they're going to change the name of Washington. They can start selling the naming rights of the team.
Yeah, like, we're the Washington Redhawks. Just kidding. We're the Washington Red Tails. Just kidding.
Oh yeah, that was 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, So the protests, they did lead to change. I did think it was a funny way to approach it with the Washington football team. I think they just were afraid they weren't going to be able to produce enough team gear for the upcoming season, and they didn't have enough time to design anything as far as logos. They probably don't want to rush it, and also they probably don't want to rush possibly offending somebody else in 2020. This is the year of 2020 is a nightmare for the cancel culture, and the last thing they want is to be like, all right, we're not the Washington Redskins anymore, we're the whatever, and they're like, oh, you can't call yourself that. So I have a feeling that played a little bit into it as well, that they were just covering their asses, if you will. They're probably going to have about 50,000 focus groups on all the different name options for the next 6 to 8 months. So that's interesting. And any other comments on this, guys, before we get into the COVID for the last 20 minutes?
I know. I think that pretty much covers it because it's genius.
Yeah, it is big money. And also he appeases and also I think the people that were anti-Redskins name are going to turn around and be like, oh, wow, okay, they're progressive. So they're going to support people that aren't even in that area, that are going to buy stuff to just show support to the team that did what they consider is the right thing. So
are the Cleveland Indians on the chopping block pretty soon?
I think they already announced.
You're gonna go with chopping block, really?
Oh yeah, chopping. Oh yeah, no pun intended.
Hey-o. All right. On that note, we're gonna move on to the year 2020, sports in 2020, COVID-19. Have you heard of it? I think we're all well aware of what's going on. Baseball.
Speaking of which, why couldn't it have just been called COVID-20? So like at least I know what year that this hell broke loose instead of COVID-19. You just when you said 2019, I was like, oh, why shouldn't it be COVID-20?
Because I think it was named for COVID-19 in 2019 when it started in China.
That's when they found it. Yes, in 2019. It was made in China in November of 2019.
Sino's chiming in saying, didn't someone go and trademark all the potential names Washington was going to use? Maybe.
Did they?
Yeah, Kim Kardashian probably did that.
Yeah, Chris Jong-un.
That would be hysterical. Like when people went. Did you hear about I don't want to go off on a tangent, but Google had the same problem. Somebody bought Google.com because I guess and Google had to buy it back from them. Look that up.
People do it all the time. It was It's Always Sunny episode. They did. Was it Always Sunny? No,
Great
The League.
show, by the way.
It was The League. Yes, very good show. I'm shouting it out even though it wasn't the right show. The League did that.
Other great show also.
Taco bought DallasCowboys.com or something, and it was like a big deal. If you guys didn't watch The League, you don't even have to be a football fan to watch The League. My wife loves that show. It's hilarious. Not for family viewing though. That's an adult. That's an explicit.
An adult show.
That's a grown-up show. So back to the COVID-19. So baseball was the litmus test. Baseball and basketball, football right around the corner. The big three sports of our country. I know hockey's up there too, but I think you would
soccer's
say
back.
Yeah, nobody cares. No, I was kidding. I'm not a big soccer fan. I'm just busting your chops. So anyway, COVID-19, baseball. We had about 3 days of games, and then what happens? Florida happened.
God damn, Florida messes up everything.
Florida helped us out. They're like, what? It's like, what team came down with 20 cases of COVID? They're like, the Miami Marlins. I'm like, no crap. Of course they did.
But it's crazy that the Yankees and the Phillies, they have no cases after playing them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That might play to the whole concept that the outdoor situation is helpful in not contracting, and the guys that are in the clubhouse together, changing next to each other, at practice together, that might have a lot more of the close contact than just stepping up to the plate and running the bases against the other team. Right. You know,
I mean, but I think it's also like the traveling aspect of it, though. Also, that like because you don't forget, like they did spring training down in like Florida, Arizona, and California, and everything was fine.
Yeah,
right.
Excuse me, guys. I got a frog in my throat. Hold on, I'll mute.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like crazy. So the commissioner was on with the league owners, and he was like talking about, is this your like worst nightmare? And he was pretty much just like, No, because like we have things like we have protocols that are in place, to combat this. So I mean, people forget that if someone gets sick, they expanded the rosters, so there's more people who are on the team, and they can call people up. So like you can easily replace a player, maybe not the same player of the same caliber, but they can bring up a player to be used. Don't forget, baseball has 4 different like AAA leagues and single A and farm leagues, so they have players ready to go off the bench. It's like, go. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say. So as soon as they sacrifice their starters to the COVID god, they're like, "Who's next?"
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still like, yo, you know what? I might just take my chances with COVID. I know a lot of people are probably gonna give me a lot of shit for that, but if there's a chance that I may not get it again, and I can just play for the rest of the season, oh well.
That's tricky though, because they're saying that a lot of people lose permanent lung function. So you don't know if that's like if you're a professional athlete and you have 95% lung function compared to the 100 you used to have, that might be detrimental to your.
Oh my God, Josh Gordon! If you're listening to this, when I draft you once again, because I never get it right, and you get COVID, I swear, week 15, if all of a sudden you're out because of COVID, lung disease,
lost the lung function.
I think his lungs are
yeah, he's tested the
function for a different reason.
Yeah, he's tested the durability of those bad boys for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I heard that people who smoke weed, they're less susceptible to COVID.
I've heard that too.
Really?
I don't have COVID. I don't have COVID. Just saying.
Man, I'm gonna get COVID.
JC's out in California, like, nope, no COVID here. So all right, so now NBA's in the bubble. That's an approach that is interesting. That was different than how Major League Baseball did it, and NFL has too many guys on their rosters to probably pull that off effectively. So, do we think the NBA is going to be just fine, even though they're having a sprinkle of cases here, a sprinkle of cases there?
I don't think they have. I mean, they got a couple of cases, but like for the most part, the whole league playing in one stadium in one place and having basically an entire town of NBA players that are going to play basketball is pretty genius of them being able to do that and pulling it off. They're basically building an entire infrastructure around this bubble so that the NBA players have stuff to do, can socialize, and
it's like
it's like it's an entire NBA town essentially for them, and it's
there he is. There's Drew.
Unless people, there's Drew.
Hi, Drew.
Hi, Drew.
Said one player was diagnosed with a heart condition after getting COVID. So there is after effects that could hurt these guys as professional athletes. So I don't know if they want to go out and just get it. Sorry, Jones.
Yeah, but no, as long as they don't leave, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I really don't. I think it's genius what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it. Obviously, when you have all those people there are going to be extenuating circumstances that come up, such as people who have to go home for family emergencies and deaths in their family or weddings.
They gotta get some wings from the strip club.
Yeah,
shout out to Lou Williams.
I was setting this up and you just spiked it down. So Lou Williams had one of those extenuating circumstances. He went home because he had a death in the family. He went home and instead of social distancing while he was at home, he decided he was really, really hungry. And so when he went to get those wings after being really, really hungry, it just happened to have the best wings in the area were at a strip club.
Yeah, first of all, what strip club is open right now?
I mean, who doesn't
how do we get there?
Who doesn't like some pies and thighs?
So he
family show.
Those were some really, really good wings, no pun intended, to go to the strip club to get those wings. And when he came back, the NBA obviously they found out, and they're putting him on extra quarantine because I think there was another star. There was somebody who left for an excused absence, and he came back and he only had to do 4 or 5 days, but not Lou Williams.
But to be completely honest, though, I mean, I think that's one of the best stories that we've ever heard. Like, that's on the same level of like Rodman going to Vegas to clear his head for 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, when Scottie Pippen was hurt, shout out to the Last Dance.
We know Rodman makes good decisions.
Jordan had to go get him. That's hysterical.
Yeah. I mean, my one takeaway from that Rodman situation is that Carmen Electra aged very well.
Yes,
she is still looking very nice
and has great surgeons apparently.
So like going back to the I mean, I think the bubble and what the NBA is doing is like should be like the groundwork for other teams and other leagues. I know NHL is doing it as well, and MLS is doing it as well. With the bubble situation, and like they haven't had any major COVID outbreaks since they've gone in the bubble. And I don't know if y'all have been watching the games. I mean, but they've been like really fun in the way that the league is doing it. They don't have cardboard cutouts of like fans. They have like the actual virtual fans who are watching the games in real time. So they're actually fans who are cheering and not having things like the sound piped in.
Do they have a VR option? I didn't even realize that. Can you watch it in virtual reality and pretend like
no? So it's like you're like in a Zoom like it's like us right now, but we would just be watching the game. And there's no delay in it. So like when someone scores, you're not like hearing them cheer like 2 seconds later. It's like happening in the moment.
Gotcha.
That's pretty cool, actually. That's when I heard they were going to pipe in artificial fan sound, I was like, well, here we go. This is getting a little cheap.
It's really weird when the MLB does that. MLB has some artificial fan cheering that goes throughout the stadium speakers. Some of the stadiums do, some of the stadiums don't. It's really weird.
It is strange.
In Miami, it's quiet, though.
Yeah. So Miami and Miami's season's on hold now, right? Until they can figure out what's going on. Like, isn't that the deal?
Yeah, until Friday.
So that's tricky to work around. Now
I think they're gonna have to go through. They're gonna have to go by. They're gonna have to go by winning percentage because how are they gonna make up those games? They can't, right? So they're gonna lose those games.
You can do double headers because the way that the season was set up, that you can play a lot more interconference games. So you know, like they're gonna have to play the Yankees again at some point. So they'll just have to play a day and a night game.
Gotcha. So they'll play double headers to make it up. That's not a bad idea. Okay.
So why don't we swing back around to the NFL? We started with the NFL. We'll end with the NFL, or kind of wrap it up with the NFL. But so the NFL is going into their season, and they are very iffy on how they're going to approach it. I don't think the NFL has actually locked any plan down, or at least not announced a plan publicly on how they're going to do what they're doing. So,
yeah, a lot of fans are. I mean, sorry, not a lot of fans. A lot of the players are, upset that they haven't been more vocal, considering like the league starts in 5 weeks. We don't have any preseason this year now. Hall of Fame game is canceled, and so there's a big concern because like we said that the league, I think there's 53 men on a roster. They might have upped it to 56, I believe now, and there's no way to keep account of for people who are like leaving and going because they're not in a like sterile environment. And there's like a lot of these athletes have families and pregnant wives or people who had just had babies, and like Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, the people who are like the faces of the league are speaking up. And so like once your faces start talking, then it's just like, okay, now you got to do something in order to save face.
Yeah, they got to come up with a plan because the NBA had a plan, MLB had a plan, and they made it very public, and they let the players chime in on it, and then they took the criticism and applied it, and then they did it. 5 weeks out of the season, the NFL hasn't said anything, and I'm sure the NFL Players Association is chomping at the bit to find out what's going on. So,
yeah, I think the NFL is going to be a whole different animal. I mean, you got the 56 man roster, but you also have all the coaches, and you have all the assistant coaches and the assistants to the assistants. You also have the entire medical staff that rolls with them. You also have like all the different ball boys and just people upon people. I mean, the NFL, each team, there's probably a good 100 to 100.
I was going to say 100.
It's got to be 100, 120 people that travel with one football team throughout the year. And so it's not just the players. It's everyone involved. And it's going to be really, really difficult for the NFL. Like, what do you do when, let's say it's not a player, let's say it's a person on the medical staff or a coach that gets COVID-19, that are they going to cancel the game? Are they going to have to stop, are they going to try to make up the game later? Are they going to, there's so many questions and they're just not being clear with everything. Right. Like the MLB, the NBA, just like you said, they had a plan. They implemented that plan, and we're seeing the benefits. Yeah, they're going to have to pivot because it's almost guaranteed that somebody on a roster is going to get COVID, but they have to be able to adjust.
Mm-hmm. One thing you should know, though, Zeke had COVID, and he no longer has COVID, and so he's safe to go. Don't have to worry about him getting sick during the middle of the season.
They catch it again, man. Potentially.
Nope. Zeke's been in California also, so you know what that means.
I have a lot of things I could say to that, but
well, I mean, they're not doing drug tests in the NFL until the season starts, so that's also another good thing.
I guess, depending on how you look at it, Josh Gordon.
Hey, don't talk bad about Flash, okay?
So, the NFL needs to get it together. Another question I was going to pose before we close this up was now we'll take it down to like the lower levels, the high school levels, the college levels. These kids, we'll go down to high school, say the high school level, kids that were about to be seniors and play football or baseball or basketball or hockey this upcoming year as seniors in high school. This was the year, and the same goes for seniors in college going into the pros. These were the years this is the year you make or break yourself in the draft or getting signed to a college, getting a scholarship from a college. So this whole process has been thrown for a loop as far as the kids going from high school to college and college to the pros. The pros that are there already, they'll figure that out for them as best they can. But now, how do these kids get the recognition they deserve, or they didn't get a chance to really to prove themselves in their senior years or their. Mm-hmm. So what do you guys think about that?
The two biggest jumps that kids make, in sports is from freshman to sophomore year and then junior to senior year. So the juniors that are going to be seniors this year, they're in a lot of trouble. Because a lot of times they had a senior ahead of them. They had somebody who they were trying to feature to get into college or was really, really good that was better than them because they were a year younger than them. And now it's time for the junior to shine and time to get his tape ready to go to send to colleges, whether it be Division II, Division III, or Division 1A or 1AA. They're ready to go, and now their senior season is about to be canceled. I mean, that is something that is so incredibly devastating. And a lot of things that they're trying to do in New York State is they've already postponed all fall sports to September 21st. So now all fall sports will start September 21st. They've made it, obviously each sport has their own rules regarding practice, how many practices you have to have before a scrimmage in a game. And they're probably going to lax on those at some point. But a lot of that stuff happens now. A lot of the really good football teams have already been, and I'm going to talk in football terms because that's the sport that I personally coach. But the same can be said for soccer. Same could be said for field hockey. It could be said for all the fall sports. A lot of that training starts this summer. It already was supposed to start. Starts in the end of June, starts in July, goes through July, goes through August, so that you're not walking in on August 18th, August 19th, August 20th, and the first thing you're doing is playing your sport. We're missing all of that. Mm-hmm. Now we're already going to be missing. Now we're going to miss more going into September 21st. So it's really devastating for those kids that have the opportunity to be able to have the talent to go and play in college and potentially get a scholarship and have their schooling paid for or partially paid for.
Yeah.
But it's also devastating for the football player such as me who didn't necessarily want to play football in college, but was excited about playing football and loved the sport so much that I ended up coaching it. But if I had lost my senior season and I don't know what I would have been able to do. I don't know what I'm going to do now this fall. I've never had a fall without football ever. Yeah. I'm talking about either playing it or coaching it. I'm not even talking about the NFL. So this is going to be like devastating.
I think we end up seeing a lot of men and or fans. I shouldn't say men, but football fans. If the football season doesn't happen the way we want it to, people will be mental health issues will definitely arise because it's a time of the year that that's where I know the time of year where once a week I'm going to see the guys and we're going to go meet up at somewhere to have some wings and watch the game, whether it's at someone's house or at a bar. And I know it sounds crazy, but that is kind of a release for a lot of people. And we look forward to it all year long. That Sundays we're going to go watch football together. And so, and also the fact that the bars aren't going to really have it set up the same way for us to do it. It's kind of rough, man. My whole life I've watched football on Sundays with my buddies. And I know it sounds like so minute in this whole grand scheme of things, but it's gonna mess me up if I can't watch football.
Sports is totally a natural release of it's entertainment, and Lord knows we need entertainment at this point.
For real.
Well, I mean, our fans are getting a lot of entertainment by listening to us, so you always got that going for you. But I want to also make note before we try to wrap this up, though. It's just like a lot of these seniors they have the opportunity to repeat their senior sports season. So if you're that hungry and if you're one of those like fringe players, because obviously there are going to be players who are probably welcoming not having football because how many times have these like running backs or these soccer players or these hockey players have been hit like from the age of 5 all the way up until they're 17, 18, they get off season where they're not going to be hit. They're going to be rejuvenated. They can like get rid of injuries that they may have had. So like, don't think of it as a negative for some people. You find like the positives in that situation, but for those people who are on the fringes of going to a good school and having it paid for, I mean, they do have the opportunity to repeat that grade, and then they don't even have to stay the entire year because all they have to do is focus on football the entire time because they would have technically have graduated this year. And so, they have that opportunity so they can put in even more work, even more time, because if you're a fringe player, the likelihood that you were going to be starting in college anyway is probably not that high anyway. So that's another option for those people out there. So that's my last bit before I toss it over to Joe for the final word.
I was going to just say COVID-19 has changed our lives in many ways, and we have taken a step back in almost every aspect of our life to adjust to the public health crisis. Some people don't find it as important to worry about the public health and a little bit more about themselves, or there's the politicized versions of the COVID argument where some people think it's not as serious and other people think it's extra serious. I think we all just need to listen to each other and give each other a chance to feel the way that you feel about it. Because I'm going to quote my friend Mark Daniels actually said this to me a few weeks ago. So shout out to Mark if he's ever listening. He said, people need to stop giving each other a hard time about this. You're allowed to feel the way you feel about it because we don't have enough information to lock down absolutes. If you feel that you need to be extra careful about it, then you do that. If you feel that you don't have to be as careful, as long as you're following the protocols that are put in place and you want to go hang out with your friends and do what you want to do at someone's house, barbecues and stuff, then you do that. We got to stop getting on each other for how we feel about the COVID-19 situation and telling people how to think, because you can't really tell someone how to think in any aspect of life. And this is uncharted territory for us. So let's just be a little kinder to each other about it on both sides of the situation. People that think it's not as much of a big deal, I get you're trying to get your message out. People, the same thing on the other side, people that are very extreme, COVID's the worst thing that could ever happen to you. We got to meet in the middle somewhere, just like we do with this podcast. We need to talk to each other and discuss things and try to understand each other's thoughts and opinions and stop being so dismissive of each other. So that's my final word on that.
And wear a damn mask, everyone.
Please wear a mask.
Not a chin strap, a mask.
So that brings us to our closeout. I'd like to thank my co-hosts, as usual, Jonesy, JC. Love you guys. They're like my brothers at this point. Make sure you guys follow us, facebook.com, the TMI podcast, facebook.com/the TMI podcast, Twitter at the TMI podcast, Instagram at total_male_introspective. We are live Tuesday nights where you guys can chime in on the comments, #join the discussion. Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. on the West Coast where all those losers hang out. And if you want to see all of our links or most of our links, go to Linktree. linktr.ee/the TMI podcast. As usual, we always like to thank you guys for chiming in and joining us. It's much appreciated. Without the fan comments, it's not as much fun. So thanks to you guys for chiming in every week. And make sure you listen to us in the car if you missed the live show on our podcasts on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all that good stuff. Again, you can find that at Linktree if you can't find it in your iTunes or Spotify. But I'm pretty sure in 2020, you know how to navigate that. So thank you for checking us out. What?
I said, Mom, I'll help you out with that.
All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. We will catch you next week.